Hi, Bernard Carey here, Director of Praxis Center, and today I want to talk about how art can sell itself, right? How does art just, it just sells itself, what is that about? How does that happen? And and what I mean is the kind of work that could be, at a gallery that just by itself seems to be able to sell itself. So there's a number of elements to that, right? There's scarcity, there's investment, there's different qualities that art might have that makes it sell itself. A certain amount of mystery, location, attention. So what are these things, and how can they be useful to you? As an artist. It's part of how work is presented to the world, right? That there's only so much of it, that there's only that it's difficult to find, that it's difficult to to know where to find it even. And then there may be a waiting list. That's the scarcity element, right? And that it's an investment, that this work will go up in value. This is like buying gold. So how does that happen? Banksy is one of those artists that has literally manufactured that himself. He is, kind of playing the art world like a guitar. He's, he knows what motivates people in terms of sales, and he creates, the equivalent of kind of stunts to make it happen. Recently, in New York, he had work out for sale through vendors, kind of thing, where work sells very cheaply, and then people find out it's Banksy, and it creates a little sensation, right? So he makes it very hard to get his work, right? Because he's a graffiti artist that likes to remain anonymous, essentially. But so he's created a kind of scarcity in the work itself. There isn't that much out there. But of course, there is in different forms. He has books and all kinds of things, and there's dealers that have his work. But through these events also creates, other things happening. Investment is another thing. Bringing his works to auction, seeing his works fetch high prices, having a stunt like a work self-shredding at an auction. These are things that make his work an investment, right? That makes it almost impossible to say no, whether you like his work or not. That makes the work sell itself, right? So the way this happens, of course, is through stories and presentation that has an infinite variety in terms of how creative you can be. Banksy started off doing things that were different types of stunts that were easier but got him attention. I remember one of the early ones that I read about was him going into museums and taking a very small work of art of his framed, just like something in the museum, and with kind of double stick tape, very carefully positioning it right to the wall, sticking it to the wall. What people don't expect is an artist is going to bring art into the museum, right, and hang it on the wall. But he did in a very subtle way, in a very quick way, and it was the kind of gestures that happened, later in terms of his graffiti. But it was also an effective way to generate press and get himself known in the art world. And so these are the things that create the kind of context, scarcity, and investment that I'm talking about. He created a context, and this is how art sells itself, essentially. Again, context, scarcity, investment. This can be done in any means at all. It's limitless how creative you can be with this. Banksy is one example that kind of created his own rules, did what he wanted to do on his own terms, and you can take any of the things that he's done and adopt them other ways. He's basically created kind of performances and these kind of endless publicity stunts, right? That kind of get press attention, that are not even sometimes about him selling work, right? In New York a few years ago, New York City, he drove a truck around that had little kind of, it looked like a kind of a truck where animals were in it that were being, taken to, I don't know, slaughter or something. But it was a truck that had wooden sides, and there were little heads of stuffed animals, like toys sticking out. Looked kind of cute. It was funny, but it was also a comment on, don't eat meat kind of thing, don't be cruel to animals. And of course that just got him press. So again, I'm using Banksy today because he's an easy one to talk about being completely creative as opposed to collaborating with a PR agent or paying somebody to do it or something like that. Banksy's a great example because he did things on his own. He got incredibly creative, doing whatever he wanted to do. I think that's the lesson in how art sells itself. Essentially, it's through again context, scarcity, and investment. Which come through all the elements that I've been talking about, like press and creative ideas to generate attention and to get your art in the public eye and talked about. So that's one way art sells itself, which is completely creative. And again, the three words are context, scarcity, and investment. I hope that's helpful. Again, thanks for your comments and questions. If you have anything you'd like to see a video on, don't hesitate to comment below, and I'll try to do it. Otherwise, wish you guys well. Have a great day. Have a great time in your studio. Thanks for watching these videos.